Hey everybody, it's Frankie-Lou. I am coming to you today from the Grow Together Homestead Part 2 again, where I am doing even more winter sowing, focusing on hardy perennials. In another couple of weeks, I'm going to shift my focus more to hardy vegetables and herbs. And I'm going to keep going at this until I have probably hundreds of jugs out there in April. I really appreciate all the questions that you guys have been sending my way over the last few weeks with winter sowing. But in particular, there was one question I've seen quite a bit because we've had a lot of new members to our group and I've had quite a few new subscribers. And that is, why do people winter sow? There's lots of videos here and tutorials on how to winter sow. And please do check those out. There's lots to see and learn from there. But I thought it might be time to give a quick little video on why you might want to consider winter sowing, particularly in our harsh climates that we have here. I'm winter sowing at two different homesteads, one here in Springbank, Alberta, and another just on the other side of the Rocky Mountains in Golden, BC. These are both Zone 3 growing areas, and I have found that winter sowing is one of the best ways that I can deal with the short growing seasons that I have in both of these gardens. So I thought I'd give you a quick rundown. I have so many reasons that I love winter sowing that I can't really put it into an order, but I think that those of you who do subscribe to my channel can probably guess that one of the main reasons that I do this is because I'm really busy. Okay? A very, very busy lady. And honestly, I love to grow as well. And the amount of time and work and energy this saves me throughout my growing season is incredible. I used to mess around a lot with lights and shelving inside my house and watering like almost every day, checking fans, checking levels of stuff. This, I don't need to do that. I take my milk jugs, fill them up at the appropriate time, stick them in a snowbank, and I might have to water a couple of times in a season. When it does come time to water these, I check to see how heavy my jugs are. And if they're starting to feel light, well then I'm going to pop them into a bin full of water and do some underwatering. It's going to take very little time. I might have to do it 2 or 3 times in a season. And I honestly don't even have to usually worry about that until my seedlings have come along in a couple of months. I don't have to worry about that day-to-day maintenance that you have to worry about so much with seedlings that you start inside under lights. One of my very good friends has coined the phrase benign neglect, and I embrace that wholly. This really is a method that's far less fussy and far less time consuming than a lot of the other ways of starting seedlings early to get a head start on when you have a short growing season. Also, once those seedlings are ready to go and have come up and it's nice and warm outside and it's time to get the seedlings into the ground, I don't have to worry about that whole fussy hardening off phase. I have a tendency to be extraordinarily clumsy, and I cannot tell you how many poor trays of seedlings I have destroyed while moving back and forth during hardening off season. And it's also so time consuming, and I just don't have time for that. I don't. But I do want to grow. So this is a much better way for me. I just have to open the jugs and let the seedlings adjust to the change in humidity. That is a significant difference, and I don't want to transplant the same day that I open the jugs. I usually want to give it a day or two to adjust to the new humidity levels that are outside. And here in my Springbank house, that's extremely dry. So you do want to give it the time to adjust to that. So no hardening off, that's huge, and no fussing with lights and shelving. Related to that is I used to lose my kitchen. Basically, my kitchen, my garage, every sunny spot in my house in the old-fashioned way was covered in seedlings all over the place. And I had to worry about my cat getting at them. And my family wasn't able to eat at the kitchen table because it was covered in plants. I know I'm not alone in this. I know that this is a very common thing for gardeners, but to be able to put this outside and save all that room in my house is huge as well, okay? Now there is some semblance of organization in my house and in my kitchen, and I can actually prepare and serve food in there. So that's another big reason as well. If you're finding that it's hard to find space for all your seedlings, because it's outside, it's in your yard which is covered in snow anyways. So not that big a deal comparatively. Another really great reason is protection from many, many things. I've already mentioned my own clumsiness. It's far easier to move jugs around, and you're not going to drop trays. Even I have dropped these on occasion, and it's not as tragic as when you drop a tray. Protection from animals. My cat can't dig around in these and destroy them and decide to sit on them like she likes to do on heat mats and underneath growing lights. So that's a really good reason there. Protection from the elements. Now, I'm not talking about at the start, because you do want to expose these milk jugs to as many to the elements quite a bit at the start. You do want the cold stratification to occur, and so you want it to be exposed to precipitation. But in regions like what we have here, where you have erratic temperature changes, sometimes it's freezing at night and it's warm during the day, I find that the jugs are really great at protecting my young seedlings for several weeks before it's time to get them in the ground. So that's a big thing for me there. Another wonderful reason is once I do have these babies ready to go in the ground, I find they're hardier. They may seem a little bit smaller than some of the seedlings that I would have started inside, but they catch up so much more quickly because they're not going through that harsh change that a lot of your stuff does when it's outside. So even if it does look small and it's not coming along as you're thinking, oh, it's not coming along as fast. I have planted indoor starts next to outdoor starts with the milk jug planting as experiments. And even if they do appear smaller to start, they tend to catch up and thrive a lot more than the ones I started inside. So that's a pretty major factor for me there. Another thing I really love about this method is it's not as tight on the timing. I'm doing hardy perennials now, like I said, but I'm also going to be doing hardy perennials up until April. So I'm doing 8 jugs today. I'm going to do another 8 jugs in a few days. I don't have to start like a whole bunch at once. It's a lot less strict. I've got a few weeks, or I've got months to play with this and decide when I'm going to put things out and time it out and do it in small little batches that I enjoy. Okay, I'm out here on a nice sunny day. I'm playing in the dirt. What's not to love about that? It's going to be minus 25 in a couple of days, but in the meantime, I'm going to get my hands dirty, and I really love that. And the milk jugs are going to love that minus 25 because that's causing that seed stratification to take place. Another reason I love this is because I do live in a hail zone, Springbank in particular. Very erratic weather patterns with our Chinooks. And this is one of the reasons why I start my milk jugs later than a lot of people do in warmer climates, is because of the erratic temperatures. But the hard stuff falling out of the sky, it's pretty tragic. I don't run around covering all my young seedlings the way I see so many of my neighbors doing, because I have them in milk jugs until it's time to get them in the ground. And if I do the winter sowing in place with my large water cooler bottles, I don't have to worry about it at all. I can leave the water cooler bottles in place and I don't have to take the lids off for quite some time. And usually by the time it's time to do that, the worst of hail season is over. So that's a huge benefit for me here in this region as well. Another reason I do love this method is because I'm upcycling. Even the tags I'm making out of old yogurt containers. And these milk jugs, I have a teenage son. We go through a lot of milk. I just hold on to them year round, and I have other friends who do the same. These jugs are still going to be recycled, but they're getting a reuse beforehand. This reuse of something I already have is another reason why I also enjoy winter sowing in milk jugs, because I'm cheap. I'm a very, very, very frugal girl. and I'm not having to go out and buy new containers and lights, and I'm not running electricity. I'm letting Mother Nature do the heavy lifting for me, and that's saving me a heck of a lot of costs as well. Yes, I do have to get soil, but I'd have to get soil anyways if I was doing it under lights. But the amount of money that I save by being able to do this allows me to buy more fun seeds and to grow a lot more than I maybe would be able to, because I'm saving a heck of a lot of money with this method. So last of all, the main reason I do this is because it works. It works so well. I find it works a lot better than many of the other methods I've attempted in the past. It did take a little bit of messing around with a few things and finagling to get it to work properly in this crazy erratic zone 3 climate. And that's why I started the channel, because there are some things you can do to mitigate our erratic conditions. And if you do want to see some of that, please do subscribe or join our Facebook group, because we love sharing that information. Okay, the more people who can grow more of their own food and more of their own gardens without having to outsource it, the better it is for everybody, right? And it brings a lot of joy. I love it. It's fun. The magic of watching something germinate never grows old. So I get to see it happen hundreds of times with this method. And that's one of the main reasons I love doing it. So I hope that was helpful. Please do continue to send your questions and comments. And as always, I hope you'll take this chance to grow together today. Have a great one.